of attention. So it's 10 minutes of their passion given here. So thank you very much in advance for your focus and your attention. I will ask you, please, when someone is pitching on the stage, please don't get in, don't get out. Wait in intersections to go out or to get in. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen at the door, not to let someone in when someone is on stage speaking. Thank you. If you can put your cell phone on fly mode, that's great. And so I give you, this is the main thing. I should remind for the award thing, maybe. So, at the end of this session of pitches, the jury will unite and choose awards and distribute awards to the films. So there's 3 projects. We will get each of them 30,000 Turkish lira. One project will be granted a color grading service from Color Up Company, and one producer will get accreditation for Cannes Film Festival Producer Network. So in total, this is 5 awards to be distributed. Okay? So I think we're on. You have here the brochure, but you know, as they say, don't believe what's written in the brochure. Of course, there is true things and wrong things. So the true information about people that you're going to see is from me, because there's some adjustment. Okay, so what do you think, Olena? We start 5 minutes ahead, which is kind of a luxury. Yes, we do that. Okay, so we don't give the audience any time for sending text. You know, drink water. We start. We're fighters. Okay, good. So ready? Okay, thank you from the adorable crew not to let in people when you hear someone starting to talk. Okay. So the first number 1 project is called Summer in '95. So we fly back in time on the coastal of Turkey, and I will call on stage Inan, Temelkuran, the director, and Yeşim Çitak, producer. Okay, stage is yours.
All right, let's do this. I have a crazy jet lag, so I might babble a little, so forgive me for that. This is a clash story between a naive but well-educated young man and a lower-class, hardworking, street-smart young woman. This story came to my mind in the 90s when I was traveling back from Istanbul to Izmir right after graduating from a college, and the bus took a break, and a girl stood by me and asked for a light, and we started some small talk, and as a custom I asked her what she was studying, and she said, "I'm not studying, I'm working in a factory, and I'm going on a vacation for the first time in my life, and actually I would like to go to Izmir on a boat," because she always dreamed of going on vacation in a love boat that she saw in the famous 80s TV show. And I did a very strange, silly thing, and I said, "They're not called love boats, they're cruise ships." And but that moment stayed in me, that girl in that moment stayed in me for a long time. It was a little bit of bitter and a little bit of funny feeling. And then in a couple of years, a narrative took over our country. That it was enough of the elites ruling and it was time for the real people, and the real people really, really loved that. And I guess that night I was one of the elites and that girl was one of the real people, but still that question is in my mind and I think it's worth making a movie about. So our movie takes place in a small beach town where it's divided between campers and residents. And in the middle of them, there is this beach bar, the only beach bar in the town, called the Love Boat. And our main character, Çağdaş, who is 20-year-old Asperger's child, a computer geek, meets a 26-year-old witty and charming Ebru after she sings a beautiful 70s romantic song, and he's immediately into her, but his Asperger's and his social background makes it very hard for him to communicate. But no worries, Ebru is very talkative, and she knows how to make conversation. So Ebru is camping in the tents, and Çağdaş is vacationing with his parents in the summer house. Ebru stays with her conservative brother-in-law and sister. Although they are from different backgrounds and different social settings, they start a beautiful friendship. And the clashes start with like Ebru has some superstitious, and meanwhile Çağdaş is very different, and he is into future projects of internet even in '95. Ebru listens to Turkish pop and Arabesque music, while Çağdaş is into heavy metal and Britpop. But she defends her superstitions and musical taste very well, and they find common grounds eventually while they are lying down on the beach looking at the shooting stars, which Çağdaş can't help but remind that those are asteroids actually burning in the atmosphere. Anyways, the weeks go, and they, after a week, they go to a discotheque, and after a late night in a discotheque, while lying down on the beach at dawn, Çağdaş gets brave and kisses her for the first time. Everything is great, but then her being late to the tent creates a big problem for the brother-in-law, and it creates a big fight erupts, and the fight turns into a fight between campers and residents early in the morning. And now the town is divided more than ever, and the stakes are higher for Çağdaş and Ebru. They are not allowed to see each other even. And unfortunately, Çağdaş is a weak boy, but he's not a superhero, but goddamn, he has Asperger's, and that gives him a strange personal trait that he can remember any song that if he hears them once, all the lyrics. So he signs up for the Saturday night talent show of the beach bar, and he sings the song that he heard for the first time from Ebru on their first night. And his bravery and his beautiful singing touches Ebru very much, and she rushes to the stage, but the conservative brother-in-law drags her back. But there, he is kicked by the sister with a very pro taekwondo kick, and he's fainted, and amidst the fights and stuff, they complete the song together and kiss, and there it's a happy ending. So the movie is comedy, and I write a lot of dialogues, and my favorite sport in life is people watching and noting the hilarious dialogue bites among people, right? So the movie will have a lot of functional side characters, from an unsuccessful Casanova to crazy retired soldier, and a very intuitive music teacher, a gay music teacher, and former Taekwondo star sister. But all of them will have their very daily but beautifully and carefully crafted dialogues that are going to hint their social and political prejudices.
Political background is very important for us to build our story, because how we are asking this question to ourselves: how did it all start? In December of '95, Welfare Party won the elections. People who didn't vote for them was shocked at that time, and people start to think, how did it all start? How we get here? Our story just takes place before this election, and while welfare's leader was suggesting, warning Turkish people, if we get into European Union, we would all be homosexuals. On the other hand, extreme seculars weren't letting girls study in universities with their scarf on. But there were many more people like us, neither that or this, while watching, enjoying their tea and watching what's going on.
So the film dives into that question, like what is real people and what are elites, and what are their fears, and how the organized and politicized fear can overcome the basic human reasoning that today lets us have these discussions about whether the earth is flat or round in the 21st century.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have sound here? No, I have no sound here. I take this. Thank you. Okay, thank you to both of you for keeping the time. You're wonderful. Okay, so dear jury, do you have a question for those first courageous Inan and Ekim will open the day? Can I ask you in what state of development you are? I'm starting question.
Sorry, what?
What state of development are you?
We wrote the second draft of the script, and we are slowly getting into looking for locations, because it's a hard thing to find where you can create a 95 on a large beach where they can camp. I know a couple of places, but we are in the search for locations as well.
Michelle?
And some casting is done.
Ask about the casting, if you had anyone in mind already, or do you want to go to professionals, non-professionals? How do you want to approach that?
Always professionals, very many. Like if it's like a one-liner, then the locals are all right. But if it's more than that, usually professionals. And usually friends of mine that have some, let's say, similar mindsets. I find it more comfortable to work with friends that can understand things faster, let's say, because of knowing.
Thank you. Why is it important for you that the story is set in 95?
As she said, well, our sublime leader of today in 1994 won the municipality elections in Istanbul, and right after that in 1995 his party won the elections, in general elections. So everything started to change slowly and then fast. But the change has sparked there, and many people did not realize what was happening. And I wanted to focus on those days and see the interaction between so-called elites and real people of today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Question? One last question.
I'm going to ask the question in Turkish, if you don't mind. Merhaba. Komedi yaklaşımı, hani böyle bir slapstick'ten belki dark komedi arasında bir sürü bir şey var ya, bir range var. Orada nerede olduğunu düşünüyorsunuz ve referans vereceğiniz bir film var mı?
Referans verdiğim film, yani tarihe bakış, karakterlerle benim aramda kuracağım uzaklık anlamında komedi olmayan referanslar var. Bir tanesi hani yani hiç alakası yok ama hani Beyaz Kurdele İkinci Dünya Savaşı öncesi Almanya'yı anlatırken hiç onunla ilgili bir şey anlatmaması benim hoşuma gitmişti. Bir de Roma yine bir dönem anlatıyor. Aslında burada da çok zamanım olmadı ama bütün yan hikayeler hemen hemen hepsi kadın hikayeleri. Asıl çünkü bir toplumsal değişiklikte ilk etkilenenler onlar oluyor ve onların yaşadıkları daha görünür olacak filmler. Komedi referansım yok ama evet bayağı komik olacağını düşünüyorum. Referans bulmadım ona. Güzel.
Okay. Thank you, Inan. Thank you, Ekim. Cool. Okay, we move on. Project number 2. Okay, imagine Ben disappearing. Let's have Rami Matien, the director, and Emine Yildirim, producer, present us the disappeared, which is project number 2. You know?
Hi, still very excited to be here. I'm Inan, I'm the producer of The Disappeared, and Ramin, he's the director. Ramin and I have been working together for a very long time now. We've done 3 feature films together, so this is hopefully going to be our next one. To talk about the status of the project, we're currently in advanced development stage, and while we were in the early development stage, we had participated in the Thessaloniki co-production forum and also the Berlinale Talent Project Market. This month we will be entering production financing. Now, as for the writing part of The Disappeared, Ramin is co-writing the script with Hakan Bıçakçı, who's one of the fresh new literary voices in Turkish literature. Now, as for the story, The Disappeared is an irony-ridden fable about emasculation and about evolution. Well, actually, it is about the inability to evolve and adapt for a certain group of men who find themselves in a new set of circumstances in which their regular tools of power and control are taken away from them. Now, the story is set in a Turkish urban landscape. This place could be at an outskirt neighborhood of Istanbul, or it could be in a large town in Anatolia. We're not giving a specific location, but we're trying to create a generic urban landscape neighborhood of a traditional community. Now, in this traditional community, the men own the public spaces and they roam in the streets, they own the shops, they are in charge of everything. While the women in this neighborhood, they are usually at home, behind the windows, watching in shadows like silhouettes. They cannot go out into the public spaces. But something very odd is happening in this town. The men are slowly disappearing, and nobody knows why. The women and the children are not touched. Now, the neighborhood men first start panicking, and they first blame the black minority in the neighborhood. They first attack the minorities. When they understand that the minority community has nothing to do with the disappearances, then they start to blame each other. But then something even worse happens. The imam of the neighborhood, the religious head of the neighborhood, he disappears. And suddenly, there's huge panic. The men remaining decide to lock themselves into their homes. So our lead protagonist, Ahmet, out of fear, he goes home and decides not to go out. But his wife, Dilek, was not very happy about the situation because now she has to put up with the man 24/7. Also has to adapt to this new situation. But after a few days, when the couple realizes that they need money, Dilek proposes that she go outside and she take over the shop and she run it. Now Ahmet is not very happy about this, but he feels he doesn't have much choice. So Dilek starts going outside, she starts taking care of the business, and she starts earning the money. She starts slowly to get empowered. Ahmet watches this, but he's not very happy about it, and he doesn't know what to do. He just can't adapt to this new situation in which his wife is out there doing God knows what. And slowly, but slowly, he starts to shrivel into invisibility without even having to disappear. So now I'll leave the word to Ramin, please.
Hi. So this project, as you might have guessed, comes from the situation, especially in Turkey, but really all over the world, about how the violence against women and how it is systematically condoned, at least in this country, by the government, by the society. So I have been infuriated myself for years about this thing, and I wanted to explore it. And initially I wanted to explore it on female characters who were being abused, but then I realized this was nothing more, that would be nothing more than a journalistic retelling of a very tragic event. And I was at an impasse, so that's when I decided to focus on the real problem, which is the men, and why they behave like this, what makes them like this, and this exploration of the whole, patriarchal system that we have all over the world, but especially here, and especially as the previous project was saying, in the last 15, 20 years. The structure of the film is this kind of a binary structure. The first half is we're exploring, I would say in a more sociological way, the neighborhood and the interaction between these men, and among these men and inside this neighborhood. While the second part is more like a psychological exploration of this chauvinistic mentality crashing down, essentially, deconstruction of this mentality. Just like the structure of the story, I'm intending to shoot the film in black and white, not because the whole film is from the point of view of these men, and this is how they see the world. Their world is very black and white. I also want to make extensive use of sound, in the sense that in the first half, for example, we will not hear any sound from the women. We will not hear their voices, we will not hear them move, manipulate objects, and whatever. And as they gain power, as they get empowered, slowly, gradually, they will find their voice, while our main character, Ahmet, is slowly going to lose his. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. So good we see you in the light. It's nice. Okay. Do you have questions for them? Okay. Thank you.
Hi. No, how do you classify the genre for this title?
We've been struggling with the classification. It's kind of hard. I mean, there's elements of there's fantastical elements, obviously the disappearance, we don't explain. There's a lot of black humor, and there's drama, I guess. So it's
I think it would be close to, I don't want to say satire, but it would be close to black comedy. But it isn't black comedy. It has a lot of humoristic elements and fantasy elements too.
I have one question. As all the men are disappearing, are all the women taking over the men's jobs? Does it become a village run by women? Is that the idea, or is it only one woman who takes over?
No, it's kind of like an aristophatic device where we're switching gender roles. But yes, all the men are eventually inside the house, and the women the men are forced to let the women go out so they can make money, bring food. So yes, all the women go out. So there's a switch in the film where at the beginning we only see men in the streets. In the second half, when the men are looking outside of the window, they will only see women.
Thank you. Will we ever find out what happened to the man that disappeared?
No.
All right. And and the ending is so the women have taken over, the men are inside. So we just turn black into white and white into black.
Yes, more or less. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.